All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I'm going to be going over something that I wish I learned a lot earlier, and I honestly think this is going to be the most important investing video of 2026 because there is one major event this year that every time it occurs, it always leads to a major market rally for the next 6 months. The best part is that there is over 115 years of history, and not once has this failed. So what I'm going to cover in this video is quite simply the event that we're dealing with at hand, a little bit of the history and data behind it so you could get some examples, and then ultimately the buying window that you need to be looking out for. This is how I plan on building the long term this year. I am going to be looking for this window myself, and we are going to be executing it all live. So all I ask for, man, a like on the video. Tell me that I look pretty, and if it really does seem too overwhelming for you, we are going to be doing this live. We have been building all of these example accounts, $200 a month, $300 a month, $3,000 a month. These are long-term model portfolios, and you could see how it's done if it ever doesn't make sense. So the event that I'm talking about, quite simply, it is the midterms. I know it's easy, but here's the thing. You need to know why the midterms cause this type of reaction so that you can accurately spot the window. The window is important in knowing how to react in this scenario because midterm years are notoriously volatile, and they're actually known as the weakest period for capital appreciation. This means that spotting the window or missing the window, that's going to be the difference between you knowing about it earlier and only being at break even by the time it starts, or knowing about it earlier, getting in early and being up before all of the magic starts to happen. So eloquently put, why the midterms causes this reaction, because it's all kind of dumb. This huge up and down is simply because of all of the noises. I mean, I think it makes sense to a lot of you. Some of you have never got to experience this, but I want you to think if you have, you get to hear all the promises back and forth. Lately, you've been hearing all about the housing and credit cards and affordability. These promises feed noise into the market. Then you get the opposition, the GOP, the people against it. They start going back and forth, highlighting the biggest and little failures. This starts to add a little bit more volatility. And now the best one is something called gridlock. I know you've heard this, but for 100 years in a row, man, Wall Street, they love to freak out about this. They say, oh my gosh, gridlock, split House and Senate. They're not going to be able to do anything. It's going to hurt the policy. And then just like clockwork, my friends, once the midterms are over, does not matter who wins, who loses, anything that happens. What do they start doing? They say, okay, we have certainty now, and then the markets start to build from there. So that's what you need to understand. I told you I'm going to keep it simple and quick, but my goodness, these reactions are huge when you actually go and look at it. But now the first window that you need to be looking out for is the 2 months before the midterm. So I'm going to switch over to the screen. We're going to go over some of these history examples, but what you need to keep in mind is that this is not a rule, but a range. So stay vigilant, because no matter what you end up getting, it could play out a little differently. It's not like, okay, 2 months, do this automatically. It's to get an idea of how the noise injects into the market, how uncertainty enters, and then how uncertainty leaves. But the most iconic example of the pre-window is the Dotcom era in 2002, 2 months before the midterms. That's when you had the bottom of the dot-com bubble. So you got to keep this in mind, and I think this is going to help a lot of you. But now, let's look at all the other examples. So this is that example from the dot-com crash. Everything started selling off from 2000 all the way to the low of September 2002. That was about 2 months ahead of the midterms. You got a little bounce. It did meander there shortly after, but then that's what got you going until '08, and then you started taking off after that into your modern era. Now, I did want to start by showing you guys the main chart. This is how it looks like if you pretty much looked at every single midterm plotted out. I mean, again, at one point, the S&P was at like 9 in the early 1930s, and I did want to go over the history, but I realized some of you guys, you may not want the full entire 1930s history, so what I want to start with is pretty much the last couple of years so you could see it in the modern era and how it really applied. So what we're going to start with is the last midterm that we had in November of 2022. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video here, it is a 6-month rally window, and that's how you're going to want to apply this. Essentially, this 100% success rate, it is 6 months after the midterm. The market is always higher. Now, the average is about like 13%. The highest years have been 30, and then you kind of meander between that 15-20% level. Some years, there's a couple of anomalies where it wasn't that good, and there was some reasons why, but going back to November 2022, you could see how you took off within the next 6 months and couple of years, but once again in September, 2 months before, and notice you had a lot of volatility in 2022, 2 months before you bottomed out, and then after the midterms, that is what began your rally. The one before that, it was 2018. So again, this comes every 4 years, and once again, you actually started selling, and I believe this in 2018, this was one of the only midterms where shortly after, or essentially on the midterm year, you set the low of the year after the midterm. So prior to the midterms, on every other year that it's a midterm year, you hit the low before the midterm. So that's why I'm saying you got to be cautious for that volatility. 2018, you had the repo crisis, you had a lot of things with rates. Once again, it was a Donald Trump presidency, and you hit the low about a month or two after, and then once again, 6 months later, you are trading higher. So that 2-month window there, you still had your bottom, and that would have played out, but this was your anomaly in the last 115 years that did change how things played out. And ironically enough, the midterm 4 years prior to that under Barack Obama in 2014, this was actually your smallest gain 6 months later at only 2.5%, because there was a lot of things going on. You were pretty much coming off of the taper tantrum in Europe and a lot of other things on the years prior. You know, you were just about 4 years from the Great Recession, and then you also had a lot of things going on with oil. If you guys remember, 2014 saw oil's first dip. Well, yeah, that was around here. But once again, you had your October move. You didn't have too big of a low there in 2014. It was still generally a good year. So maybe that's also why it was smaller. But this was your smallest post-midterm reaction. So there in 2018, 2014, you get to see some of the anomalies. And that's why I'm saying being aware of this, use this not as a rule, but as a range to keep positioning in mind. It's going to help you out a lot. And then now, let's go back to 2010. You also had Mr. Barack Obama, and this one was a much better year, and it actually led to a 10% gain. Once again, in the midterm year, you kind of hit your low. This time, it was in like August and September, so about 3 months, and then you did hit the real ultimate low of that year in June. But then again, right ahead of the midterms, you started ramping up, and then after November, you hit a high, came back to the midterm level, and then you begin to proceed on up. And this time, you actually had the benefits of quantitative easing and other things in the favor that led you all the way up to 2014. So now, let's go to George W. Bush. Oh wait, we got to go before 2008. But yeah, George W. Bush now. That was in 2006. And now this one is an anomaly because, well, you see what happened after with 2008, but take a look at what happened after like August. Here's the midterm. Again, you were kind of having the range. You started off that year actually pretty good, but then you had the midterms in November 2006. And like I'm saying, 6 months later, you always end up. And believe it or not, by November or even halfway through to the next year, you actually were hitting a high on the market, and then all of your problems occurred with 2008. So this is another anomaly, or it should kind of just give you a reality check where, again, it does give you an opportunity to position, but if you ever go through something broader, I mean, 1 year later, remember, your expiration period on this is about 6 months. And again, I should even tell you, this is all for the long term as well, so be careful trying to gamble on it, because like I'm telling you, these windows, as you're going through the years, it does play out a little different each time. So now the next year that we had was 2002. That was after the Dotcom one. That's what established our nice 2-month window. And then this was a very good bottom, especially with some of the stuff we're going through with tech and all of that. A lot of people have been gravitating towards this midterm. I mean, even with the higher for longer rates and all of that other stuff occurring. So let's go back to the other midterm, 1998 with Bill Clinton. I did not have relations with those options. So as you could see here, this one was actually a very good year, and then you did start to get volatility. This was about 2 months or 3 months ahead of the midterms. You had your dip, and then you started to run up real quick, and then by November, you were already at the high by the midterms, and then again, 6 months later, you are running into the peak of the market. And now I think we got to go back one more time and take us to 1994, because that was the other Bill Clinton term. So once again, you were already starting off that year good. You had some volatility, but it was mostly to the upside. And now in this case, you actually just started running up like literally into 1994. It's kind of like Obama's, but you were already up there. And then by November, you kind of went up a little bit, then meandered for a couple months into the new year. And then that's what took off that 6-month window. And then you really started ripping. So that was Mr. Bill Clinton in 1994. And that one was a 16.9% rally. The other one in 2008, after that little bottom, or 2008, 1998, that was 23% rally. So that was a very good reaction as well. And now we get to George H.W. Bush, Mr. Senior, and get to 1990 and what happened there. So once again, you were already edging up, and this time it was around August, so a little bit more than 2 months. You hit one of your lows. Again, you were already starting off very, very good through the 90s, and then after October, November, you started to go up, and then this one was a slower climb, but you still did go up, and actually, by the end of it, it did end up being 19% in terms of a rally. But H.W. Bush was not good enough. He was only a one-term president. And now we got to go to 86. That's where you had Mr. Ronald Reagan's second midterm. And this time, again, the year was starting off great. You're going up into 86. You got your little blip in October or August to October. And then after the midterms, you started to hit the high very quickly. By July of 87, you were already hitting another high. And that one was a 23% rally. And then we go back to 82 for the first term of Mr. Reagan. And you can see you're kind of chilling in that range prior to it. Then 82 rolls around. You actually had your volatility from 81 to July of 82. And then it started to take off. You got your little boost there. So you were a little bit early in September and October. And then by November, 6 months later, you are trading higher. And again, that one was also a 20% year. And now the interesting part about this 80s, again, first Ronald Reagan, this was Volker. So this was like the end of your inflation period and raising rates, and they changed a lot of things there. And then the second Ronald Reagan that you had in 1989, this was also, or 86, this was going off of Black Friday. So you had a different type of crisis that led to everything. And that also had people feeling optimistic. And then oil prices started to chill a little bit, mixed in with all of the 80s boom that you were going through at that time. So all of these events, they kind of have their own thing. Again, even 1995, you had your soft landing. That was under Bill Clinton. H.W. Bush, he had lower oil prices, the resolution of the Gulf War. So there's all these little events that you could check off, and you got to start applying that to what you are going through too. So now let's go to 78 and Mr. Jimmy Carter. And again, the 70s to 80s, this was that inflation period. A lot of things changed. Again, we're going backwards, so bear with me on that. But 1978, you had November, and you hit your low that year in February. The beginning of the year went up. In August, September, you were actually up, had a tiny blip in October, and then November, you only climbed up a little bit. And then as you'll see, you were up, but this one, it actually wasn't as strong. It was about 9%. Still not a bad gain. Once again, it did end up higher. And you're seeing this string that even though the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, I mean, you start to pair all of these together. It was like the 2008 and the 2000s where things were a little bit more bumpy, but even with all the craziness going on at these eras, it still looked pretty nice for the long term. You know what I'm saying? So that was Jimmy Carter. And then we're going to go to 1974. And this one is another interesting one because August, you actually got your volatility. In September, once again, you bottomed out. And then you hit November. And then shortly thereafter, you've already recovered. And then you start going into 1976. So this one, you had Iran tensions, Iran revolution. You had a bunch of the inflation stuff, this was very early on, but even then under Gerald Ford, man, that was still 26%, and that was a very nice one mixed in with how big the volatility was leading into it. So that was 1994, and now I don't know if your favorite president, 1970s, Mr. Richard Nixon. Again, you had to deal with inflation, you had to deal with all that other volatility, Fed pivots, you were entering the end of a recession. I mean, it depends how you really want to look at it, but you were hitting a low of June of 1970. Even August was a little shaky, stabilized for like August till October, then November hits, you start running up very quickly back to a high, and then again, by 74, you still enter that volatility as well. So that was 1970, and now we go to the 60s. 1966, you had Lyndon B. Johnson, and this year it started off good, but there was a couple of things. You had the expansion of the Vietnam War and a bunch of other social programs and things that were affecting it, but you hit your low around September. It was still pretty high. You just got your local dip there, and then it started to go up, but not as much. And then again, you got into all of that volatility into the 70s. And then the last one, because I don't want to take you guys back another 50 years, we'll end with John F. Kennedy. Lyndon B. Johnson, that was about 11%. And then Kennedy in 1962, as you can see, you had your volatility back and forth leading into the year. You hit a high, and then right before, by June, that's where you hit your low. You still meandered around September and October, and then that started to lead you in to 65 and all the way new high to like 69 until you got a little bit more volatility. So point is, man, I wanted you to see all of this. I will post all of these details. Here are a couple of different charts to even help you, and you could kind of see how everything went on. But the lowest return was Obama with the 3%, even after Mr. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was 18%. Eisenhower was 12%. The first Eisenhower was 26%. Second term of Truman was 7%, first term was 3%, and then to 1934, your Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that was a 30% move. So we're going 4 years at a time, but like I'm telling you, this is actually over 115 years, or about just under 100 years. Oh no, I might have to take you guys back through the 30s then, so you could see. It is though 115 years, but like I'm telling you, it all depends on the 6 months after. And now, why I wanted to show this all to you, I did want to kind of go over this quickly. I don't know how long this is going to take now, but this has to do with the window. Like I'm saying, I could have just handed you that chart and said, look, this is how it operates, but I did want you guys to see how it really was slow. There's no guarantees with how it plays out afterwards, but I want you to see the second part of the window. The first window we are going to be looking for this year is the 2 to 3 months ahead of the midterms. If we get any of those peak volatility moments like history has shown, that's probably going to be your opportunity to start shopping and take advantage of those deals. That's why even right now, I'm being a little hesitant, because even though we're seeing deals, we still may get a little more volatility. But also, as history's shown, sometimes you'll get that early volatility if you already open up strong, and then it kind of stays up there, and it's really only like a month or two of good prices. So you got to be on the lookout for that. But now the second part, the main part of the window, is after. So depending on what happens, it's not like you have to deploy all of your cash before. If we do get a lot more certainty, I do plan on putting most of my cash in there afterwards. But now the thing you got to keep in mind, those couple of months after, it's slow. Like I showed you guys in 2018 under the last Trump, that was actually your first time in 100 years where you actually hit your low after the midterms. That is very, very surprising. So if that occurs, you're going to want to be ready for that. But also, too, what if it just stagnates? What if it takes to the beginning of the year? I wanted you to see all those examples. If you go back and pay attention to it, you will see that a lot of times the rally won't even start till next year. So we're going to get this event in November, and then it could take December, January, maybe even February or March, and then things can take off. So that will be your opportunity. If things are still cheap, you could get it, or you got to really make sure you are on a long-term time frame. Because like I'm telling you, if you think this is all going to just hit right away, maybe it does, but if it doesn't, you don't want to stop yourself out, get out of it too early, and really miss it, especially if it leads to a lot more bigger booms, especially some of the stuff we've talked about with the ISM, everything with the economy. All of those things are going to be important. So Chad, I really hope this helped. I hope this is going to get you prepared for this year. You could let me know what you're looking at buying. I want value. I want good value staples, but if we get any of that pre-midterm volatility, oh, I'm definitely going to be picking up a growth stock, baby. So get ready for all of it, Chad. I love you all. Have a joyous trading and long-term journey. And, Horna.